Well, as you say, mate, there was only really one place to start, the North London derby, Tottenham hosting Arsenal. Both teams needing a win for very different reasons. Spurs a little too close to relegation with Igor Tudor coming in to the building. From Arsenal's point of view, that draw with Wolves is tightened things up at the top of the table. Manchester City did their business yesterday. Pressure was on Arsenal to do the job in the North London derby. And apart from a few probably self-inflicted moments, Rob, I thought they did a pretty good job with the goals, with the control, and with the performance on a day when people are looking for reasons to see why this team are, inverted commas, going to bottle it.
Yeah, they've had a lot of stick, Rob, haven't they, the last few days? All those words have come back, and all those who I think secretly don't really want Arsenal to win, who secretly want the manager to be under pressure, and because he's not a particularly likable guy. I think Mikel Arteta sometimes they come across on TV. But they've obviously had harsh words. They obviously learned something from the Wolves game, because we haven't reacted to that. That was so, I'm sure that's so frustrating for the Arsenal fans. It was so bad, really, Rob. And looking back at that, their lack of go on and win the game when they're up 2 goals or 2-1 or whatever it was, go and score more goals to win it, or win it by keeping the ball. Keeping control, stopping Wolves having opportunities, stopping Wolves getting near their box. And they did neither. So when Arsenal were 2-1 up in this game, of course, I'm looking at, all right, what are they going to do? And they drove on really well. I mean, we'll get to Spurs and pretty meek, pretty awful, really, performance from Tottenham. But it is a North London derby. There was more energy from the Spurs players initially. I just thought, Rob, that Arsenal... That's the energy. That's the kind of drive that you want from a team that's going for the championship. They didn't look nervy. It wasn't. I think it's very easy for people to jump on and say bottling it or whatever it is. You can have a bad day at the office. And I thought Arsenal today, with this performance and the players that scored, were important for them. I just thought Arsenal were at it, Rob. Right from the goalkeeper made a brilliant save to claw that ball back that almost went over the line in the second half.
Yeah, 3-1, that might look a little bit different, might it, if that goes in.
That's a strong one. That's a strong one. It's strong from Arsenal.
Yeah. I kind of got the same. I've kind of written down one of my notes watching the game was Arsenal have done what I kind of expected them to do, but wasn't sure. That was where I was at. Arsenal are better than Spurs, Rob. They're better than Spurs, and they showed it today. But there were moments when they obviously Spurs equaliser, and it's a bit of a mistake by Declan Rice. That can just start to eat away at the nerves, and they're not quite in charge of the game. But then once they got the 2-1, and from that point on, it was never in doubt, Rob. And that was one of the things. I think the biggest things the group, Arteta, individuals can take away from that, because I don't think that's always been the case with Arsenal in recent weeks. That they've had that a bit more control. They looked in charge. I thought the football was better. I thought they looked more dangerous, Rob, in the attacking areas of the pitch. Maybe people running up beyond a little bit. Build up with Gyökeres looked a little better, and we'll come on to talk about him. But I just thought it's a day when everybody was looking for the nerves and the bottling, and actually Arsenal will come out of that with a lot of confidence. They've just gone to Tottenham, their biggest rivals, who want to obviously stop them winning the title. And they've scored 4 goals and been pretty much in control of the game.
Well, that's it, Robin. The goals. The 4 goals is the important bit for me, because Arsenal didn't win this title, over the last couple of years with maybe 2 years ago with all those draws. They're not putting teams away. And I think we talked about it on the last pod, Rob, about maybe if they got a superstar player to win them games and to get those goals. Well, today they did look like full of goals, and they ran away with the game. 4 goals. That's what you want. That's what a champion team should do. Of course, not every week, but it has to have the capacity to blow teams away with their goal scoring. Because if you don't, you allow the others, exactly like Wolves and many others this season,
they're still in it.
They're still in the game, and something happens, a mistake or something falls in the box for the opponents, and they drop points. So really good. I mean, it's a big decision from him to play Abacha Eze, Rob. He's that's what he's got, and I haven't been particularly impressed with Eze really in recent.
He's gone 18 Premier League games without a goal since the North London derby. North London derby, incredible, eh?
Yeah. And I mean, is it just a masterstroke, Rob, or do you think he's deserved his start in the team, or did Arteta think
interesting? I think he is. It's interesting with Eze, Rob, because when I see him today, like into the second half, and I know that they're in control of the game then, and maybe that's when. But when you see him, it's almost like, oh, you've got to keep this guy going. You've got to keep his momentum because he's a rhythm player and he looks like he's on the game. He gets the goal. He has hand in goals. He's electric now. There is days when we've seen him and he's disappointed. And both of us have said about that. Has he got that step up to be a real top big six player?
Yeah.
But then when you see it, you see days like today, on a big day when the pressure was on, he looked like he enjoyed it and he wanted to get all the game. He wanted to put his mark on it. And the other thing, Rob, I was thinking just as you were speaking, in the last few years, Arsenal have gone close and for a number of reasons not been able to get over the line. When you think Gyökeres and Eze are two of the players he's brought in this summer to be the difference maker, this is why he bought them, Rob.
Yeah.
This time of the season, when we maybe without these players going, have Arsenal got enough up front? I think the argument should be that they still should have with what they bought in the summer. That shouldn't change. If they don't win it, they don't win it. But I think with that squad that he assembled together with Matchweek, with Martinelli, with Saka in the wide areas, and then Havertz, Jesus, Marino, it isn't the superstar player as we talked on our last podcast, but there should be enough goals in that team, shouldn't there? They shouldn't not win the title through lack of goals.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? That's the question. And if they don't win the title, then probably rightly so, there will be a lot of pressure on Mikel Arteta because, as you've just described there, I think a lot of fans, a lot of commentators and a lot of watchers of the Premier League and of Arsenal will think, well, wow, we've got kind of a big squad here. We've got a really, really good squad. I mean, Gyökeres was such an important signing, Rob, and really, like, he's still, is he going to bang in the goals to win him a title? You see him today, absolutely he is. But again, there's many games to go, and he hasn't always looked that much star quality to show that he could be that guy. I'll tell you what I thought when he hit his first shot, his first goal, the really nice strike he made in his first goal. Yeah. I thought that's the first time I've seen him really with a bit of space around the box to pull the trigger and to shoot like that. I mean, he's always closely marked. He's buffeting. He's battling with players all the time. There was another chance where in the first half, Rob, which is his favourite profile, where he gets on the inside left, he comes inside, and he just missed the far post. So much better, I thought, from Gyökeres generally in the game. And
isn't that his game, Rob? Isn't that what we saw at Sporting? That he likes, he's almost likes body contact. He likes to roll and get tight to players. And maybe
his goals so often where he found a bit of space.
Yeah, he's running behind. I mean, I'd probably go as strong as it. And to be honest, he was close to being my underappreciated performer of the week. I think it's hard to kind of give it just on today's performance because he's got to do a little bit more. And if he does, but I'd go as strong as saying, Rob, if he can perform at that level for the next 10 games, Arsenal can win the title. Yeah, that's how important he is.
Definitely. Yeah. And also, like, I think the big takeaway for me, right, is Arsenal's attitude at 2-1 up. And that continuing to attack, because if there's criticism that come in for this team and for the manager that he sometimes, and the team has looked like it, I mean, it's fair criticism that they're ahead and they drop off and they're a bit cautious. They trust the defense, which is really, really great. But still, you keep teams, if you just drop off and don't try and score more goals, other teams are still in the game. I thought they drove at this game really well. There you go, banged in more goals, take the game away from Tottenham Hotspur. And much more like, like not carefree, but a more positive, aggressive, determined way of winning a game instead of it being a cautious, we're gonna try and block them out. So that was a big step in the right direction, and I would imagine the managers learned a lot, the players have learned a lot, and I'm sure the fans enjoyed that, of course, because it's the derby, but also the way that they banged in the goals and kept on the front foot.
And the 5-point gap is still an important 5-point gap. I know that you've got to play them whatever, but I'd rather have the 5-point gap than the 2-point gap at this stage. From Spurs, from Spurs' point of view, Igor Tudor coming in the door. I mean, in fairness to him, Robin, I did see something before the game. The amount of injuries they've got, there's a lot of people available to him, and I understand that. But listen, nobody else cares in the Premier League. The teams down the bottom of the league don't care that Spurs haven't got some of their better players around. They're in the fight, mate. And today didn't look, I would say, that encouraging that they're going to be up for this fight if they get caught in it. The next few weeks are going to be vitally important to this football club, that he's got to get a bit of confidence, get a couple of wins, and get a bit of gap between them and the bottom three.
Yeah, I mean, I think, people look at Igor Tudor and say, well, who is this guy? But he's been a specialist in this situation in the Italian league with Udinese, I think, a couple of times. Croatian guy. I mean, he's managed big players at Juventus, and he's a short-term guy. So in terms of that, I mean, others might say, well, he doesn't know the Premier League. There's been many examples of managers coming in to clubs in the bottom of the league table. Pereira being one at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Oliver Glasner, you could say, Crystal Palace came in after Roy Hodgson near the bottom, hadn't, and got him away from it. So yeah, we'll see. But today, a little bit of huff and puff, different system, kind of 5 at the back. It looked like 3 in midfield with 2 up front. Simmons was playing up front, and they never really looked in control or happy or threatening. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he does. I mean, when you go back to the squad and the injuries, Rob, this is Tottenham Hotspur, right? There's 62,000. Their squad should be filled out with enough quality, right? However injuries they've got to be okay and not in this position in the league table. We're
talking one of the big 6, aren't we? We're not talking a team that's been promoted or a team that's fighting
put their money into the best first
the big 6 football club that is playing Champions League football, and that's the ambition. It doesn't seem to fit at times. But listen, we know there's a lot of work to be done at Spurs. We know he's in an interim position. As you say, he has been a firefighter. He has gone in and done jobs. And sometimes that takes a different manager than somebody who's coming to set a way of playing and a system and a culture. Basically, he's been brought in to make sure there's enough points that Spurs stay in the league. And then I'm sure in the summer, they're going to take a look at who's around in the market, who might be the best person to lead them forward, whether that's Pochettino and or all the other names we've heard out there. But I just think from a confidence and in the dressing room point of view, you just don't want to keep losing games, Rob, because that doesn't half draw on that group and bring the spirit and the whole kind of momentum. I think that's 8 defeats they've had now in the Premier League at home this season. Yeah,
and I know it's Arsenal, and I know the players and the fans will be like that. Well, it's Arsenal, and they were obviously, they just looked really sharp today, Arsenal, really hungry for the game today. I'm not sure right now what the next couple of games are for Tottenham, but if they don't go well, then you're looking at no manager boost and but a real fight for it, because the players are like, oh, we haven't got a boost from this. The fans are like, who is this guy? He hasn't done anything so far. So as we remember playing, Rob, from our playing days, when new managers came in, you're pretty quick to assess what they say, what they do in training, and how the games go, and how the fans kind of react to the new look team, and what the local media is saying. And he needs a bit of a boost, mate. He needs a bit of a boost in the next game.
Fulham, Palace, and Liverpool, the next 3 Premier League games.
Right. So the next two.
Fulham, Palace. They need points out of those 2 games, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. I mean, particularly the Palace one. And you can kind of, if you can get 2 strong results, you're kind of close to safety then. Of course, they're looking over their shoulder, but when you're in around 30 points, you're kind of close. So, oh my goodness, there's the next 2 for Tottenham. That's when he will get judged after these next 2 games. And if they don't go well, then it could be really, really bad for them.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.